to talk about a thing called post-traumatic growth. And a little over a year ago, I wouldn't have been able to speak to this with the depth of experience that I am able to now, because I went through a really traumatizing situation a bit over a year ago. I was in weekly therapy, I was in support groups for it. It was really, really difficult. But what I learned from that is that you can grow from trauma and you can select, you can choose to be somebody who transcends the trauma and uses it as purposeful meaning, as opposed to somebody who is weighed down by it and continually relives it and lets it affect just ultimately your enjoyment of life. And I think this is really relevant to our industry because, oh, and to any human being, we all will likely experience trauma in this lifetime, right? But I particularly deal with workers who have had traumatic experiences in the job or traumatic experiences in their personal lives that crosses over to the job, particularly with men. And something that I wish that I had known when the trauma occurred to me was that there would be a time that I would be able to make meaning from this. And I think that's what really helped is in the moment, you're kind of in survival mode, and that's completely understandable. And the thing that helped me most was meeting like-minded people who had been through the same thing. So I was in support groups with women who had been through what I had gone through, and they were really able to give me the support that I needed at the time. But then after that, I went deep into seeking to understand how can I make meaning out of difficult situations. One of the books that I read that made a really big difference was Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Aside from the fact that this guy lived through a concentration camp and found a way to make meaning of it, like that in itself just teaches you so much because it really puts in perspective your own issues. Even though this experience I went through was awful, I wasn't living in a concentration camp, that's for sure. And so that was helpful, but it really just showed me the power of the mind reading that book. One of the things he says is man's greatest freedom is the ability to choose his attitude in any given situation, or man's last freedom. And I've really found that to be true. Everybody goes through difficult circumstances. You can choose to have that make you better and make you more compassionate and give you more depth and create meaning from it, which ultimately helps you, those around you, and maybe even more. Or a traumatic situation can weigh you down and limit your experience for the rest of your life. And it's such a shame when I see that in this industry where people have a negative experience, particularly with men, and they become jaded and bitter about it instead of using it as an opportunity to go, well, what can I learn from that? How can I avoid those types of people in the future? Because of course they do exist. I am not invalidating the experience. And how can I make this something meaningful and purposeful that I can actually transcend and be stronger for and better for? Despite how difficult the experience I went through was, and I would not wish it upon anybody, the truth is the person I am today is better, stronger, more capable, deeper, more compassionate than the person before I experienced that.